This is a world without land. People live on floating wooden rafts. Rafts are piled together layer upon layer. They form a floating city out at sea. Land, a word you often hear tossed around. Not even the oldest elder in the city has seen it. You were born on a raft, you'll die on a raft. Land is just a distant, vague legend. Nobody knows if it's true. You stare blankly out the window at the ocean. The teacher's voice blends with the creaking of swaying wooden boards. Class, what do you want to be when you grow up? A scientist, teacher. A fisherman, architect. These answers sound like rehearsed standard responses. Another answer rings out, exceptionally loud and clear. I'm going to lead everyone to find land. You and everyone else look at this classmate. Seeing the determination in his eyes, you believe it for no apparent reason. This impractical answer is the most sincere one. But when you first met Ajo, it seemed that right from that moment, he was destined to stand out. Ajo gradually grew up. His brilliance could no longer be contained. He became the city's finest young man. Clinging to the idea of finding land, he won the following of the youth, and earned the respect of the elders. One day Ajo decides to take action. People are initially supportive. Until he says he'll dismantle the city's wood to build a ship. Everyone freezes in shock. Someone snaps out of it and yells at him. He wants to take our only foothold and gamble it on a hazy, ethereal legend. He's trying to get everyone killed. Ajo fires back. No. This is the only way. Otherwise we just wait for the wood to rot away completely, or get crushed by the growing population. Nobody listens to him. He gets thrown in jail. Coming out a month later, he's now the most despised young man on the island. Because nobody is willing to sell him food. One night, he collapses right outside your doorstep. You save him. You give him food. You see him every single day. Yet this is your very first actual conversation. Thinking of the contrast between his past glory and now, you want to mock him. Ideals can't fill an empty stomach. You still have to eat just like anyone else. He chews on his food, his voice muffled and unclear, but you couldn't possibly mishear it. I will lead everyone to find land. Why are you so stubbornly obsessed? Isn't our stable life right now good enough? We have this city. Why bother looking for land? Ajo meets your gaze for the very first time. This stability will eventually end, and that day isn't far off. You open your mouth to say something else, but a loud crash echoes from outside. The sound of a house collapsing into the sea. Ajo struggles to his feet. He wants to go check it out. He's the city's most hardworking young man, always the first to arrive and help out no matter what. But this time you stop him. His earlier talk of dismantling houses to build ships angered everyone. Now that a house has collapsed, if you happen to be right there at the scene, it'll be impossible to clear your name. Ajo stays behind at the house. You go to check out the situation instead. A crowd has gathered over there. Squeezing through, you see a massive gap. A house that used to be here has completely vanished. Peering into the opening, you can see crisscrossing, rotting wooden beams. Further down is the endless sea. The boards making up the house smashed into tiny shards, floating out on the water. The homeowner lies face down on the ground sobbing. Those timbers are completely rotted and splintered. Pulling them up is completely useless now, because of Ajo's earlier words. You stare once more at the rotting wood exposed in the gap. This is your first time paying attention to the city beneath your feet. It isn't nearly as sturdy as you thought. You gradually realize the doomsday Ajo spoke of might not be so far away. You tell Ajo what you saw. His expression doesn't change. Collapses mostly happen at the edges of the city. Your house is right in the middle. You're lucky. You mean this sort of thing happens all the time, and I just had no idea? Yes, collapsed houses are increasing year by year. The wood making up this city is long since rotten to the core. The breakdown is worsening piece by piece. Do you know what happens next? Our doomsday arrives. Exactly. Ever since you started paying attention to this, you noticed there are genuinely many displaced people in the city. You never gave a thought to where they came from before. Ajo has been staying at your place these past few days. His body has fully recovered. Now he spends every day sketching with a pen and ruler. Who knows what he's up to? You watch him and suddenly speak up. Does land really exist? Of course it exists. All these pieces of wood beneath our feet used to grow on land. That's what the books say. But that's as distant as a fairy tale. We're facing an absolute dead end now. We have to take action. Otherwise we won't even have a chance at survival. You fall silent for a long time. Even if it's just me, I still can't believe land actually exists, let alone anyone else in the city. I bet most people would rather selfishly scrape by for decades, and then die, than take any risks to verify a mere legend. Ajo stays quiet for a long while. He looks right at you and says word for word, that's why I'm going to find land first, to prove it isn't a myth. I'm going with you. Of course you can. Ajo agrees without a moment's hesitation. He tears down his own house, carefully locking every piece of wood away in a warehouse. Ajo is full of ambition. But everything seems to go wrong. He watches the first model ship he built drift across the simulated ocean, his brow slowly furrowing into a deep frown. He turns his head to stare at the blueprints he spent weeks drawing, suddenly crumples them into a ball, and tosses them into the trash. He sits in silence for a few minutes, then pulls out a fresh sheet of paper and starts sketching all over again. Model ships leave one by one. Blueprints are drawn up one after another, only to be quickly shredded and discarded. His expression turns sorrowful. His brow never relaxes. At one point, he stares at the timber piled up in the warehouse, seeming to sink into total despair. You never imagined just a few short months could extinguish his youthful light, making him look so utterly exhausted. That day he tosses his latest blueprint into the trash and tells you, "Come walk with me around the city." Naturally, you don't refuse. The city is still orderly as ever. Nobody pays any mind to the approaching crisis. Ajo must have run into some kind of trouble, but since he won't say a word, you don't ask either. Several months have passed by now. Nobody hates Ajo anymore. Whether admiring or despising him, people have simply forgotten all about him. As you walk along, you spot a group of children. They've used chalk to draw numerous patterns on the ground, a bunch of imaginary vicious dragons, and a warrior wearing a cloak. Have any of you seen Ajo lately? No, we haven't seen him in a long time. You never expected to hear Ajo's name come from a bunch of kids. You walk up and ask what they want with Ajo. The kids don't recognize you, staring at you with wary eyes. You decide to give them a surprise, step aside and reveal who's behind you. The kids look him up and down, and say, "Isn't that just some wandering drunk? Looks exactly like the one near my house." As for Ajo, how should we describe him? He doesn't have wings, nor can he shoot lasers. But I feel like he should be more like a hero. You are certain? It's this casual remark that gives Ajo a kind of strength. A month later, he uses the wood from his own house to build a real ship. People are bustling on the road out of the city. Word has spread that Ajo is going to find land, and everyone has gathered around. Finding land. This long-cherished wish rooted in people's hearts for generations finally takes its very first step, without a doubt. This is an unprecedented feat, especially since he only tore down his own house. People are willing to grant Ajo respect and applause once more. The ship is lowered into the water. You look at Ajo. "I want to go with you." "No, I have another job left for you." Ajo places a blueprint and a receiver in front of you. "Once I find land, I'll let you know through the receiver." You nod and look at the other thing. It's a blueprint, depicting a massive vessel. You're stunned by just how huge this ship is. It's enormous. It'll take the wood of the entire city to build it. You look at the crowd in the distance. Will they be willing? Trust me, I will find land. Ajo sets off amid the cheers of the people. He is the sole warrior of this oceanic age. A turning point in history unfolds right before your eyes. From that day on, you stay glued to the receiver at all times, waiting for news. A month later, amid meaningless static, a burst of excited cheering pops through. It's just a single sound, but enough to rewrite history. Years have passed by now. You've already built a new city on land. Here there are endless forests, fertile farmland. The ground doesn't shake. Every legend has turned into reality. People explore this vast expanse of Earth, and nobody has forgotten Ajo either. You board the very same giant ship personally designed by Ajo, the one that brought you all to your new home, and embark on a journey of nostalgia, returning to the original location of the Sea City. Even though there is nothing left there now, you are old. Your eyes are cloudy. But whenever the setting sun dips into the ocean, you can still clearly see Ajo's silhouette when he first set off. "Captain, have you really met Ajo?" A young sailor approaches your side. "Of course, though we only spent a few months together, I believe we were each other's best friends." What kind of man was he really? Was he truly like they write in textbooks? Blessed with main character plot armor like a novel? I think so. In fact, I'm even a bit jealous of him. He stood out from childhood, and venturing out to find land alone without plot armor. You could never pull off such a feat. You and the sailor both laugh. So where is Ajo right now anyway? You shake your head. That single cheer was his final message. We naively thought. Land wasn't much bigger than the sea city. Until I gazed for the first time upon that boundless earth, only then did I realize we would never meet again. Ajo really is just like the protagonist of a novel. Is he your idol? He's the idol of all sailors. We all marvel at how Ajo crossed the boundless ocean alone and found land all by himself. We all hope to have that kind of luck. Another sailor's voice calls out, "Captain, we've arrived. A few nautical miles ahead is the waters where the old city stood. We can't go any further." You ask in confusion, why? Sea levels have slowly dropped over the past 2 years. Ahead of us is already tidal flats. You come over to the ship's rail, staring silently out at those mudflats. Your heart races rapidly. Your cheeks burn hot. You suddenly feel your past judgment of Ajo is utterly shameful. Even feeling like all those years were rendered completely meaningless. To think you only understood everything just now, right at the moment he became a hero. Ajo already understood. The important thing wasn't the ship, but bringing hope to the people. Everything became meaningless. You're only figuring this out now. Back when he became a hero, Arjun already understood. It's not about the ship. It's about bringing hope to people.